Welcome to Keith and the Girl. I'm Keith Malley.
I'm Molly Knefel.
How very exciting. And I'll tell you what, Tech Andrew was here, and he did such a great job setting up a remote recording device for us. So if you think Hemda's going to get actual relaxation from leaving the hospital, you are dead wrong. And Libby will be stopping by her place, so don't worry. KeithandTheGirl.com/tumor. That's the fundraising we have going for Hemda's hospital bills. They're adding up already. KeithandTheGirl.com/tumor. I saw Todd Berry just donated, and you can leave a message also, but I couldn't read it. It was whispered, but that's appreciated. Today's guest is Mychal Denzel Smith. Hello, Mychal.
Hello, hello.
3 names.
3 names.
Is that pretentious?
Yes.
Is it your doing or your parents' doing?
Well, I mean, they're originally my parents did
Right.
that. But going by, the problem was my name is spelled Mychal, Mychal.
And that wasn't enough to be different.
And it wasn't. I Googled, searched Mychal Smith, and what came up was Brandon Mychal Smith, who is an actor of Disney Channel fame.
Okay.
And so I did not want to get buried underneath Disney Channel made-for-TV movies.
Right.
So
well, they say you can be typecast, and to be typecast and not even get the money from being a kid actor.
Yeah, exactly.
That'd be torture. Congratulations, by the way, on your book. Invisible Man got the whole world watching.
Yes.
Man, you're not you are political. You do not mess around, right? I've heard you on the Molly Show, Radio Dispatch.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've been on my show many times.
Many times. Yeah.
But with that said, you did not watch this second debate.
God, no.
But why watch it, right? Because we were just
can't.
saying the other day, it's not like your friends are going to come to you the next morning and say, you totally missed out on Trump's economical plan. Clinton really spelled out a point of view.
Right. No, you're not missing anything. And I think particularly after this weekend with everything that came out about
Right.
the
Pussy
hot
grabbing.
night, all of that, like I couldn't do it. I could not do it.
Right.
I mean, I got so drunk the first debate that my
Right.
liver can't handle.
For a while, you were the only male at a feminist blogging website, Feministing.
Feministing, yes.
Was
Shout
that
out to
tough?
feministing.
Did the women not trust you? Are you just angling to get in their pants?
Well, no.
Is this what they're thinking?
Never. They did not trust me, but with good reasons. Because right around that same time, I think there was this blogger named Hugo Schweizer, who had been trafficking in sort of male feminism and all of this, but his abusive behavior had come out. And
He's saying I'm all for women, etc.
All of this past of like being physically abusive and emotionally manipulative and abusive and trying to get different women fired and all of this stuff. And so when I came, like some of them extended the invitation to me to blog, there were others who were hesitant about that,
Right.
and I could completely understand. I don't have anything in my past like Hugo Schweizer does, but the idea of male feminists like proclaiming that in a public space was a little iffy at that time.
What's an interview like? Do you come in like you just baked a cake? Do you say I don't make cake? No one has to make cake.
There's no.
Okay.
There's no interview. It's just like we like what you're writing. They wanted to bring me on. They wanted to experiment with having the first male voice over there. Which, I mean, for me, it was a great learning process, getting to be in contact with all of them and learning through my basic 101 feminism to get an advanced education.
You're a race critic. You critique the races. What is the best race going today? Excuse me. Whom is the best race going today?
Definitely Native Americans. They got it down.
Okay. Columbus Day. What did you do to celebrate?
What did I do to celebrate?
Is it disgusting that's still on the calendar?
It's horrible. It's awful. Like, I mean, and the thing is, we know what
Better.
Columbus did.
Right.
Like, we know exactly what the effects of him coming to this hemisphere were. We know the genocide. We know the rape, and we're still just like, yeah, but he found it. And it's like we know he didn't. Like
Right.
that, even that basis of understanding of like his celebration, he didn't find anything. He was lost. All of these things. Like, what is there to celebrate about Columbus? Like, unless you just like murder.
What should we still want the day off. That's the big thing. What
Like
what do we call it then?
Indigenous Peoples Day.
Yeah, see, this
Okay.
is what I've been saying.
Okay.
And
Indigenous Peoples Day.
nobody is into Columbus anymore, as far as I can tell. If you talk to young
Right.
people about it, young people know that Columbus was completely a fraud and a liar. You know, the table has turned on Columbus. It's over.
Fuck you, Columbus.
Until I watched I was late watching The Sopranos, and I watched it last year, and apparently, like in one of the episodes, like there's a whole debate about Columbus Day, and Italian Americans are really attached to celebrating Columbus. I'm just like, why that one? Why, of all the Italian Americans, of all the Italians to celebrate, why Columbus?
Yeah, I never even think of Columbus as an Italian. I feel like Italians from that long ago I don't associate them as like the Sopranos. Like we're talking about two different species of Italians at that time.
Who is the greatest Italian?
Robert De Niro.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Because he's willing to punch Trump.
He's ready to punch Trump in the face. I mean, he's also a brilliant actor. He hasn't been great in like some time because he's been phoning it in. But like,
Right.
you know, he like goes on record like I want to punch Trump in the face. Like, what's more gangster than that? That's incredible.
Did you see the documentary where Robert De Niro, he's retired, and then he goes to work for the new generation of children, but they don't know how to wear a suit nowadays, and he's going to show them about the old-fashioned go-get-'em ways.
No,
That was a good one. He's an intern in it. It's fantastic.
Is this one of the Meet the Fockers franchises?
Meet the fuckers for the interns. You wrote for I'll get back to the book, The Guardian, Huffington Post, The Root, Gawker, Ebony. Now, it is interesting there's no Ivory, right? You get that enough?
You've been sitting on that joke for a while, Keith.
That's the only reason I wanted you here. Thanks for coming. Good luck.
Actually, that's my next venture is Ivory magazine.
Yeah, co-founded alone by Mychal Denzel Smith.
You are 29 years old.
29. I'll be 30 in a few weeks.
You sincerely did not believe you would live until you were 25
Yeah.
because of how black people are treated, period, Trayvon Martin, etc.
Yes. I mean, at different stages of my life, I didn't think I would make it to 18. Think I'd make it to 21. Did not see 25 happening. And 25 sort of was, I don't know. So 25 seemed like the passage past the point of like
You live in
worry.
You live in Brooklyn now. Were you born in Virginia?
I was born in D.C.
Okay. Bad neighborhood? The way you think you're always going to die?
No, well, I was born in D.C. My dad was in the Navy, so we lived in Norfolk, Virginia for a little while. Then we lived in Naples, Italy for 3 years when he was stationed there, and then we moved to Virginia Beach. It's not necessarily like a bad neighborhood. It's a matter of like the messaging that you get as a young black man in America. You know, like the idea that first and foremost, the fear of police officers, like that's a thing, and then constant messaging around like quote unquote black on black violence, fearing that, and then later in my life, I thought I might kill myself. You know, I was suicidal at different points. So
what was the big thing that made you suicidal?
I live with a lot of anxiety and depression, and like a lot of it traces back to the fact that when I was 12, like one of my older cousins was shot and killed, and I've never really dealt with the grief of that. I felt like when I was younger, I went to more funerals than I.
Did your stomach churn passing a police officer?
Oh, I shrink, and I like when I'm on the subway now. Like, it's really difficult for me to sit on a subway train and like police officers come in and they're just standing there, they're standing guard. Like, I want to get off and like get on another car, but I also don't want to make any movements. You know?
Right. You walk car to car with your hands up.
I mean, I avert, my eyes, try not to be seen in any way. And that's the thing. It's like a discussion about racism somehow still is located in the South in the United States, right? Like we really want to put it in the context. I'm from Virginia. Like I remember riding around and seeing Confederate flags and all that, but like I didn't live with the sort of anxiety of police officers in the same way because their presence is not the same as it is in New York City, where they're on the street all the time, right? Like you used to have to call the police for it, like that would be your interaction. But like now they're everywhere.
What is that thing with that Confederate flag? It's not like it's pretty.
It's an ugly flag. It really is.
I mean, put that next to that Japanese dot. These aren't great flags.
It is an ugly, ugly flag and an ugly history. And I don't understand people's preoccupation with celebrating it. You know?
Keith, do you remember that song, Accidental Racist, that came out, Michael? Do you remember this? A couple years ago, Brad Paisley, country singer Brad Paisley,
and
LL Cool J wrote a song called, collaborated on a song called Accidental Racist, and it was all about this, like, white guy at Starbucks, I think, and there was a guy wearing the narrative is that there's a guy wearing a Confederate flag shirt, and then I think another white guy who's offended, or maybe it's a black person who's offended, and the song is all about like, I didn't mean to offend you with my Confederate flag, I just love history. And then LL Cool J comes in and he's like, pull up your pants, and it's like a bad respectability politics thing, and then that's the song.
Yeah, I'll respect your red flag if you respect my do rag or something along those lines. And it's like those are not equivalent at all.
Right. Well, you know what it is, why they stand by it. It's nothing deep. Like, yeah, I'm not into the racist part. It's not even heritage per se. It's my parents taught me this flag was right. I knew this all my life. Ergo, you are calling my parents stupid.
Yeah, it's a part of their identity. Like, it's a thing that means something to you and your conception of self. Like, who you are is based on a love of this flag or respect of this heritage that you've been taught about. And it's like, once someone confronts you with some other narrative around what that flag actually represents, then you're defensive, because how dare you attack me? Like, that personal connection to it.
And especially if it's a tattoo.
Yeah, now you're with it.
Unless you just have to put a tattoo next to it with just like an arrow pointing to it, and then like a person with a disappointed face,
like an emoji you got on it.
Yeah, like a sad face emoji, or that emoji where it's like screaming, like no.
Your other arm has the Nina the Pinta and the Santa Maria, and it's like my whole body's ironic. Get it? It's disgusting. You went to Hampton University. The Hamptons. Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you. No, it's kind of the opposite, right?
Not at all, the Hamptons.
It's a historically black college.
Yes.
And you worked in the school newspaper.
Yes.
You were the editor-in-chief your senior year.
I was.
But a mental health breakdown forced you to quit, right? Before completing your degree.
Well, yeah, I just stopped showing up to classes second semester. Yeah.
And what gives you your anxiety? Is it just a disease period? Does it make more sense that it's the state of the world? I don't know why more people don't have fucking breakdowns.
Well, yeah, I don't understand why. I think more people should be having anxiety. But
you're weird that you don't convulse out of nowhere.
Yeah, reality is very anxiety-inducing.
Right. Go ahead.
No, yeah, I mean...
Anxiety, depression.
General anxiety disorder is what I was diagnosed with. But also, there are specific instances that do trigger me. And, like, school became one of those things, in part. Like, again, tracing back to the death of my cousin at 12, like, I had a prolonged depression, like, around senior year of high school as well. Right. I reach these major milestones and sort of, like, reflect on the fact that he's not here to
What was his situation? How did he get killed?
It was, he had been involved in, like, selling drugs and stuff, but he also was at that point trying to get out of doing that. Right. But his younger brother was still involved, and so his younger brother asked him to come along on something, and they were trying to kill his younger brother, and he was hit instead.
The cops were trying to kill
the
other
brother. This was other drug dealers.
I see. Damn.
Yeah.
Well, that's not good.
Yeah.
Do you know the people that did it? Like, is it hard to let that go?
I don't know them personally. What I understand, though, like, street justice has taken place.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Does it feel good?
No. I don't. Like, that's not It's not what I wish for them. It's not what I wish for my cousin. I think ultimately what I feel is that you have this situation where all of these young black men are involved in this underground economy, which they police through violence. Right. And the question is, why were they denied opportunity for other forms of, like, one, economic opportunity, but also self-expression and meaningful lives? Like, what was the breakdown there societally? Is
it helpful or hurtful to say that? And we see what. Don't believe me, I get the same news channels you do. To say, don't trust the police. And does it go in their head, hey, this is our own life and we gotta.
Well, I mean, what reason would you have to trust the police?
Right.
That's what it comes down to. I think we have to, like, the real question for me is, what is the purpose of the police? And if we're saying that it's to protect people, what are we protecting them from? Like, and then we have to look at the causes for their need for protection. That's my ultimate thing. It's like, if we are investing so much in the idea of the police have two tools that they use, really. They have guns and they have handcuffs. I don't know how either of those is going to solve, like, poverty, how either of those is going to help someone that's going through a mental health breakdown. Right. I don't know how that is, like, educating people. Like, so we have all of these different forms of social breakdown that lead to forms of violence, and then we send the police out to go rectify that. Like, that's just backwards thinking, So the investment needs to be in an establishment of justice and rights for everyone to begin with, as opposed to this idea that we can punish our way out of these antisocial forms of violence.
And something you've talked about before is that, in general, when people say, well, okay, you have a problem with the police, then what do you propose? And you have said less policing,
Yeah.
Like, if police are killing people, then we should have less of that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. What bothers me is, like, the assumption that policing as an institution must exist simply because it already exists, right? Like, what we do now, like, policing is the roots of policing in the United States are slave catchers, and then these police units formed to squash labor uprisings in the North, right? So that's what their intended purpose has been, is the, like, insurance of inequality, and that's what they've kept doing. They protect property. They protect whiteness. Like, that's what their jobs are. So when we try to deploy them to solve issues like sexual assault or domestic violence, and it's like you're trying to use an oppressive institution to solve an oppressive form of violence. Like, those things aren't going to jive together. And we wonder why there's this rate of, like, this low rate of arrest for rapists or physical abusers. It's because, like, these institutions are formed in the same crucible. Like, that what they're doing is ensuring second-class citizenship for a certain group of people. So the question then is, how do you treat all of these people as if they are not second-class citizens? How do you ensure justice and freedom for all of these people to begin with, as opposed to using the police after you fomented this social decay?
29, you say?
29.
Good for you.
Yeah, you should read Michael's book. It's like this. It's quite good.
So how do you get your shit together that you're able to freelance write, despite your anxieties that are keeping you down?
Oh man, I'm one of the laziest writers. Yeah. But you learn how to hustle.
What's the closest you got to suicide?
I never actually, like, attempted.
Okay.
But I haven't had real suicidal thoughts in probably 8 years or so. I think toward the end of college.
How would you do it?
Keith.
Well, you have to know the problem to get rid of the problem. I would jump on top of my enemies.
You've thought about that?
You would jump on top of your enemies.
Yeah, from a real high place. Splatter all over, even if I missed them.
Mm-hmm. See, I feel like having what you have is a like revenge fantasy.
Oh yeah.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
That's good.
Like,
We can all
that's
have revenge
different
fantasies.
I would. It'd probably be like if I knew I was suicidal. And I guess you can't. You're not thinking straight because you're suicidal. But if I could think straight, first I would go on a robbery spree. I'd go into a Best Buy, walk out with a computer. And
You're thinking suicide by cop essentially here.
maybe I would just keep. Well, I would just keep doing whatever until then you get caught, and then you can kill yourself. Or just somebody just a clerk just really treats you so rude until you just look at him and go, "You made me do this," and then shoot myself in the face.
Mm-hmm. You have thought. I can tell you've thought
You've
about
thought
that.
this through.
Yeah, hey, I have it tough too. I'm not saying it's free for everybody. Yeah, I get you. So in this book, you talk about. So I'm reading this review. Smith argues vehemently that, amongst other things, it's America's culture of misogyny, homophobia, transphobia, class-based elitism, self-hatred, violence, untreated mental illness that derails young boys en route to black manhood. He reserves his most acidic critiques for Hampton administrators, President Obama, Smith's own father. All three, Smith argues throughout, attempt to muzzle the radical voices of young black people. Tell me what that means. I was going to take a guess, but you're here.
He's like, meaning, actually, you know what? You finish that sentence.
I guess what the reviewer is trying to get at is that my critiques of institutions or representatives of institutions or ideologies that I find insufficient to an idea of liberation, right? I think what Hampton University was a very conservative institution in that what they were trying to accomplish with their training as opposed to education was like go out into the world, assimilate, get a good job, take care of yourself and your family, like that kind of thing, as opposed to questioning these institutions and the roots of inequality, sort of make yourself presentable and acceptable to these institutions. And was getting sort of the same rhetoric around like
grow up, be a man, you'll be the patriarch.
All of that stuff, like then that's similar messaging that's taking different forms, like from my father, from President Obama, and essentially, like what I'm saying is that upon examining that, all of it is steeped in this idea of patriarchy, this heteronormative notion of coupling and family formation, things that go like untreated mental illness happens and people are suffering in silence. You have a form of economy that is completely reliant on a class that becomes exploitable, and blackness has provided that class for quite some time. And what we don't do, what we do is sort of put the onus on oppressed groups to make themselves respectable or presentable to these systems, as opposed to asking whether or not these systems are just,
Sure.
and informed with and respectful of others' humanity.
You mentioned how black people are taught it's kind of like they're the man. Period. They don't respect the black woman. They're almost taught not to. Don't you feel this is in all races though?
Oh no, I mean misogyny, sexism cuts across all races. But in the book, I'm specifically addressing the fact that black men have been taught to think of themselves as endangered species, as the oppressed group, as the sort of martyrs, in so many different ways, to the point of obscuring the experiences of black women, but also that black men have inherited this idea that the key to liberating black people as a whole will rest in a patriarchal notion, right? Like black men return to the head of household, right? Like if economic opportunity is afforded to black men to be able to go out and make all the money, and you'll be able to have women at home, and they'll be able to be respected as women finally, because they'll fulfill their womanly duties.
Right.
and black men will be the disciplinarians and the person within the household that sets the rules and standards by which everyone has to operate. And so that idea is limiting to the humanity of black women. It doesn't recognize same-sex coupling. It doesn't recognize the different formations of family that we have formed in response to the fact that black families have been broken up over generations, that, it's not always going to be biological mother, biological father. Sometimes it's aunts, sometimes it's grandmothers, sometimes it's uncles and grandfathers, and sometimes it's like complete strangers. Sure. And like all of these different formations. Like, why do we have to settle on this idea, this romanticized idea that a father figure is going to fix all of the problems that we see?
How do you get so evolved if your college isn't teaching you this? Your dad obviously isn't teaching you this.
Well, I mean, in part, it's just a rebellious spirit, know, like it's, everyone's teaching me this one thing. Maybe that's wrong, right. And investigating that on my own terms. And
do you ever find yourself not trying to, for lack of better words, be the man on a date, and you don't even know, do I open the door?
I do tend to open doors, and I offer to pay. For most everyone that I'm out with. Like, Molly can attest to this.
Woo-hoo!
I'm always trying to pay for people.
Well, your book's on the New York Times. I would hope so, right?
Well, yeah, when you're friends with somebody who is a New York Times bestseller, I feel a little bit better just being like, oh, I don't have cash.
Right. I'll tell you what, you'll see when I'm on the list. For now.
Yeah, next time you and I go out for drink skis, I'm going to be like, oh, I don't have cash. That's my go-to line.
But you never worry about that, or find yourself like,
what I find within the personal relationships is that you establish a dynamic that works for the personalities of the people involved, right? And so in some ways I may fulfill a more traditional masculine role. In some ways I may not, because like it's about how do these two personalities mesh with one another.
And like I find this conversation to be super fascinating, because sometimes with men, I think sometimes when women make, and I'm sure this plays out differently in different kind of races and cultures, but just like very generally speaking, sometimes men react to being told about feminism by being like, what? So I can't open a door? Like, and it's like but I've been taught I'm just trying to be polite, and like. I have no problem with men opening doors. I think that's nice, but I also think that that's just like a nice thing to do as like a human. And if a man wants to open a door, like
I don't close the door on my friend Adam.
Right, yeah, exactly. If someone's behind you, you hold the door open. And I think that we John and I were talking about this one time on Radio Dispatch. We heard from women who said that like men have gotten mad at them if they tried to hold a door. And I've experienced this too. Like if you're in public and you're trying to go into Dunkin' Donuts and a man is behind you and he reaches for the door and you get there first, there'll be like a standoff where like the man will be like, I'm not going to let you hold the door for me. You know what I mean? So like, I think that feminism isn't necessarily isn't a threat to like, if a man wants to pay, then whatever, like, or if you want to open the door, whatever,
But I was just having this conversation recently, and the person made me think, like, it's funny how the response to feminism asserting like equality for women, for so many men, it means like the first thing to go is gestures of kindness.
Yeah, right.
Like,
well, I guess I won't open the door anymore. Totally. As opposed to like, I guess I should think about, like everything we've been talking about with Trump. Like, I guess I should think about like, am I kissing people without their consent? Like, but instead the first thing is like, well, I've been trying to open doors for years, and I guess I'm just going to stop. And you were going to pay for half the dinner. You know?
Exactly. Instead of thinking, is it okay to say, hey, sweetheart, to my waitress at a diner?
Exactly. Yeah. Right.
But you stop thinking about, hey, but I was taught that we just talked about how the General Lee flag isn't so cute anymore. You know about Christopher Columbus now. It's okay that things change. It's okay that you evolved.
It's necessary that things change, especially when what we're trying to do as humans is get to a place where we're treating everyone with that sort of dignity and respect for their humanity on the basis of nothing else than the fact that they're a human being, right? And so how do we get there if we're stuck in tropes and like in ideology and upholding that and like lauding it as something to be celebrated when like we know from our history that people have not been like that's not the way that we've treated people.
Right.
So those old ideas do have to die off, and we have to keep like, and the more voices that we keep hearing, like the more people who have been marginalized and pushed to the outskirts of society, then the more that they are able to assert themselves and tell us like what we've been doing wrong. I think that's what like a civilization should look like. You know?
Right. And 29. Do you are you dating now?
Yes, I do date.
Yeah. Did you date around? More than one? What's your go-to? Meeting people in real life? Tinder?
I did a lot of online apps and stuff last year. I was mostly trying to distract myself from the book writing process, which was hell. But this year, I've kind of fallen back from that. I still like am swiping on Tinder out of boredom, but I don't meet too many people off there. This year has been more in real life.
As I understand it, when you're a man, you can just swipe because the odds are against you so much. One of my friends designed he rigged Tinder so that it would constantly be swiping.
While he sleeps.
Yeah, like it just runs because the odds are so against you as a guy that you want to just increase your chances of getting a response.
You can swipe for so long and not get any right swipes.
Right.
Like, I didn't get any matches. And
but it doesn't
hurt your self-esteem.
Yeah, but it doesn't say, right? You wouldn't know if I swiped 1,000 times, right?
It doesn't. Yeah, I think you can only. Well, you and I both probably got coupled off before the. Did you ever internet date?
No.
Yeah, no. I mean, I did OkCupid a little bit, but Tinder came after.
Right.
But you can't swipe right like 1,000 times on the same person, right? It's just a one person limit.
What if you missed me?
You wake up and you have like 1,000 notifications from one dude.
On my picture, there's 5 arrows that point left. Subconsciously, you say yes. No, I would hit them all, and then because something I'm really into is someone being into me.
Yeah,
it's a big turn on.
It's a big turn on for all of us. Yes.
Yeah,
I'm really into that.
I look at Michael's Twitter account. It's at Mychal Smith, Mychal Smith, and he writes regarding his book: "If my book isn't one of your 2016 faves, it's okay. I understand and I'm sympathetic to the fact that not everyone knows how to read."
Yeah. I mean, what other reason would you have for not being one of your favorites?
But like I alluded to, New York Times bestseller.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Big. I'm seeing great reviews, that kind of thing. And what's the first thing you spent your book money on? Did book money come back or?
A pair of sneakers.
You love sneakers.
I love sneakers.
So not only are you in the New York Times, as on the book list, you're in the style section for all your stupid shoes. Right? Not to lead the... How many shoes do you have? I'm looking at wall to wall right here.
I don't even count anymore.
Over 200?
Yeah, definitely over 200.
Over 300?
Maybe not 300 quite yet, but it's getting there.
Now, being woke, as we just covered, do you look back and go, I was taught to love these shoes. I'm better than this.
No. I absolutely know like the cultural context in which these shoes became important to me, and like all of the troubling aspects of it.
Right.
But
what are troubling aspects of it?
Oh, I mean, one, the labor that goes into it that's exploited. I mean, Nike's better about using sweatshop labor, but they're not like still not a standard of like labor practices.
I honestly thought Michael Jordan had to retire to work on these shoes. He's sewing them up individually.
No. I mean, there's that. There's like the ways in which they've been exploitative of Black culture and exploitative of communities of color and
how so
sort
that?
of like, I mean, every time you see a news story about sneakers and like the level of violence that surrounds them, right? Like that's mostly on these companies for one, like deliberately producing a limited quantity of these sneakers, knowing that they could reach the demand if they wanted to. But the fact that like putting people in a frenzy like drives news stories, drives publicity. And then you have these fights because you have people who see these sneakers as like a status symbol
Right.
and necessary to gaining respect within their community, and they're willing to fight over them.
You never get nervous. You're walking around a $200, $300, $400 pair of sneakers. When we walk, we hold our iPhone tight if we don't put it in our pocket. But you're just walking on your shoes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I'd be nervous. I think.
No. I mean,
And then I'd step in a puddle. I'd have to kill somebody. That's when I'd kill myself.
I'd be nervous because just all nice things make me nervous.
Right.
I wouldn't be necessarily nervous someone's going to take my shoes, but anything nice sends me into
Yeah.
an immediate panic attack.
Someone would be in front of me. They'd have to sweep ahead.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, they'd be like, "Are you curling?" No, I'm a weirdo.
Well, and when I was a kid, I feel like it was. I never really knew it was cool, but I feel like there was a time period where it was not cool to have clean sneakers. Like I remember buying sneakers and then going out and dragging them through the dirt and stuff so they didn't look new because it was. Danny's nodding. It was like a dorky thing to have like. Maybe this was just in Iowa, but it was like dorky to have clean looking sneakers. Now my kids, my students, if they have,
scuff.
if they have, they'll get into fights over that person tried to scuff my shoes.
Chuck Taylor should definitely be dirty, but everything else,
Should be clean.
Yeah.
What was your first shoe?
Well, ooh.
My mom made me go to school, no joke, in blue suede shoes. They were on sale.
How old were you?
I was beat upable age.
Beat up on boys.
They didn't go, ooh,
the
Elvis.
age where kids understand that they can punch you.
She was like, my boy will be an Elvis.
Yeah, I don't know what. Like they were kids. My parents were kids. No matter how religious or stuffy, they were children, and they were around other children.
At some
And
point
look
in their
around.
lives,
Yeah,
but they
and-
forgot.
But they still go to the grocery store, so they see other children, and they see nobody's wearing Elvis materials. And
They
then
wanted you to stand out.
they gave me a suitcase to go to school. It was ridiculous.
Oh yeah, I had one of those. Remember those kids who had like a little rolly instead of a regular backpack? Yeah.
Yeah. What do you need boots for? Put bread bags over your socks between your shoes.
Maybe this was a formative experience for you, where you.
Oh, it's formative. It's formative big time.
You were like, you know what, standing out. I'm gonna do this on my own terms.
Yeah, no, I didn't mention who I'd shoot myself in the head in front of them, but now you know. Well, mom and dad. Who was your first shoe? Do you remember? Because that had to be a big deal.
First
First time you spent over $100, $200.
Oh,
Like your first exciting pair of sneakers.
Yeah.
I mean,
Were
first
you just-
exciting pair of sneakers was when I was a kid, and I finally got my parents to buy me some Jordans. And
How much?
I don't know how much they. I mean, they're still kid sizes, so it's like maybe $70, $80.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and then what's the most you've ever paid?
Most I've ever paid.
Yeah. Come on.
You really want?
Yeah, I want to know. Is it that laughable?
The most I ever paid for a single pair of sneakers is $800.
$800.
Yeah.
And where did you do you frame them or you wear them?
I've worn them a few times.
Have you ever, very seriously, masturbated to a pair of sneakers?
No.
At a pair
I'm
of
not
sneakers?
sexually attracted
All right.
to or turned on by sneakers.
Really, I come to anything pretty.
It's all excitement for you.
Right. Should Michael Jordan have been more political with all his power and fame?
It'd be nice, but also he's spoken up more recently, and I'm like, there's a reason why you didn't speak up. It's because you don't know anything.
Okay.
But he didn't, like, you read in your book about how he, like, kind of very purposefully avoided speaking
Yeah,
of political issues,
I mean, that was sort of the era, post 60s and 70s, when like a lot of more corporate money is involved in sports. Like, you know, he wasn't the first. You can say, like, I watched the OJ documentary from ESPN, and like OJ was like sort of a progenitor to what Michael Jordan was doing. You know, Magic Johnson wasn't interested in any of that.
They were
sports
no
figures.
Ali.
No, they weren't. They weren't trying to be Ali. They weren't trying to be Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Like, that was not what was of interest to them. They were trying to make a lot of money and be huge stars, and that's what they did. Michael Jordan just perfected it in a way that was so calculated, because he's just a calculated person, that that it caused a lot of emulation. And so you had a generation of athletes come after him that very deliberately chose not to get involved in the political arena and like not speak up on any real social issues, like do all the things that were safe though, that everyone agrees on. They're like, yeah, show up for my foundation will raise money for cancer awareness. Like, sure, like that's great, but that's not taking a stake in anything, right? Like,
right. What's the longest you ever stood in line for a pair?
oh, I don't stand in line.
Now, fuck that.
I don't stand in line.
Well, how do you do it?
No.
You got to be.
One.
You don't get them a week later like a lame-o, do you?
Sometimes, yeah, because I'm not. I love sneakers. I'm almost 30 years old, and I'm not going to be standing in line with a bunch of 15 and 16-year-olds because they have energy.
And it's weird to be in line and they go, "Hey, what's your shoe size?" when they're right behind you. Yeah.
What do you think of LeBron weighing in on Trump and Hillary?
What do you have to say?
I can't remember if he just denounced Trump or if he endorsed Hillary.
No, he did a big endorsement of Hillary.
Hillary.
I mean, that makes sense. He endorsed Barack Obama. He campaigned for Obama. That's where his politics lie. I think whatever. I mean, I'm not going to endorse Hillary. Like, I will probably end up voting for her as a means of stopping Donald Trump. But it makes sense to me that LeBron would, because he's tempering it a little more. Like, it seemed a little more radical when he got the Miami Heat to take that picture with the hoodies and stuff like that, and wearing the "I Can't Breathe" shirt. Seemed like he was making a more radical gesture. But I think in like post Kaepernick, everyone looks like really tepid and but yeah, I think that. LeBron has never hidden who he is either. He wants to be the richest athlete in the world. He wants to be a billionaire. Like, that's what he wants to do. Of course, your politics are going to reflect that as well.
Is Kaepernick a great thing?
It was refreshing to see not just the actual like protest form that he took,
right,
but the fact that in every interview that he did, he was like, he's so on point. He's so articulate about the issues themselves, right? So many people will make the gesture and then afterward just be talking about like, oh yeah, I want to use my platform for speaking up on these issues, and like not actually have anything to say about the issues themselves.
Sure.
Colin Kaepernick has really done his homework, and he's really like talking about what policing looks like in the United States.
Isn't it odd when something like this happens, you realize how many morons are in your life?
Okay.
Like, oh, that's all he did. If he wants to do something, you didn't even look it up. He gave $1 million to the Black Lives Matter movement.
He's
okay, that, but like, why did you jump to but instead of going, let me type in a .com?
Yeah, man, Facebook at this time, like, the amount of people who are like, ooh, what are you complaining about, Kaepernick? And then like a picture of a mansion. It's just
I've never understood that, because he never said, oh, the police are like harassing me, the police are trying to kill me. He was talking about other people. He's taking a stand for the people that they have killed in the street. Why? What makes people think that activism is only led from some selfish desire?
Right.
Right. He has he has I almost said more to lose, but he has a big amount to lose. He's not going, this will be a fun little goof I'm doing. It'll affect endorsements. It could affect my job. You're willing to do it despite those things. Not I can lean back and I have the privilege of sitting down to this stupid song that everybody pretends they give a fuck about.
Yeah.
Pretends.
Right.
Like, how many of these people actually know the words to the Star Spangled Banner?
And then you tell them, hey, there's proof now, kind of like this Columbus stuff, that Francis Scott Key, we all know, the writer of the Star Spangled Banner, is a racist, has said, and we've read these quotes, has said the African Americans are terrible to be in this country. They're a lesser person, and they're going to take us down. Yeah, but type in a .com. It's all on Wiki. It's all made in digestible bites for us nowadays. There's no excuse.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like, I get that not everyone like has a formal race theory education, but like you said, it's if you see Kaepernick and you're like, I don't get it, like you can really easily figure out what he's talking about. Like, you don't have to you don't need a lot of background. Like, all you need to understand is that like being killed is wrong. You have to
Right.
agree that like black
You have
people
to
being killed by the
agree
police is
that,
wrong, and a lot of people.
police killing people is wrong.
Right.
But,
There's words in the Star Spangled Banner that are absolutely racist, and the answer is, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I don't know. Who knows, though?
Yeah.
Well, here are the words in
the,
front of you.
The thing that I love is when people are like, yeah, but white people are killed by the police too. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe you want to protest that?
Right. That's also bad.
Right. We put up with it. What am I going to do? I mean, this, of course, isn't on this level, but it reminds me of Ray DeVito, who loves Subway sandwiches. And I go, you live in New York City. We have the best delis in the world. You can, for the same price of $5, you can get a great sandwich. I don't know. Right across the street from where you live on Broadway. I don't know. But that's what it is with, and again, totally different example. But when you have the Star Spangled Banner and you were taught that, but I memorized it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's okay. But I learned it, and I know it, and I can say it without thinking at all.
Respect for the troops.
Mychal Denzel Smith wrote, glad there's a list to confirm that I am the 68th most influential black person, as I've been telling people this for years. Congratulations.
Yeah. I mean, I've been going around being like, guys, I'm the 68th most influential black person in America. And no one would believe me. So, I'm like, here's proof. A website said that I am.
Now, you can't help it, right? You got to look at 69 and 67 and go, come on, bullshit.
I was kind of like, could I get 69?
Yeah.
Let's just, like, be perfect.
So close to 69.
I'd love to feel like I'm 69. That would be a great pickup line.
Right. And Mychal says, guys, you have exactly 1 month left to put me on your 30 under 30 list. Hop to it.
Yeah. Our 30 is coming up.
That's
and,
right.
I have not been put on any 30 under 30 lists. I would appreciate if people would rectify that soon.
Right. How many days literally do we have now?
Oh, God.
Weeks?
This is a couple weeks.
Yeah.
November 6th. So,
Do you feel like the election is upstaging your birthday?
Yes, unfortunately. How can I compete with grabbing by the pussy? Like, how can I compete with that?
I grab pussy too. Hey, let me mention this. Sleep number beds. I have a sleep number bed, not to brag, but you want one too, and then you can yap about it with me. What I do is I adjust my side of the bed a number between 0 and 100. My wife adjusts her side of the bed the same between 0 and 100, but hers, for example, now is 45. Mine's 35. We get the perfect night's sleep for our, made for our bodies, our height, our weight, everything, and there's no problems. These sleep number beds, they have sleep IQ technology. And what that means is it registers how your sleep was. And say you wake up, you look, how did I sleep last night? I don't know if it felt so good. Well, I see from 5 to 6 in the morning I was restless. What can I do about that? And you can call a person on the phone or look at your app and adjust your bed accordingly, so the next day you have a better night's sleep until you're a Keith Malley that gets a 95 score out of 100 for his sleep IQ. Now,
Congratulations.
thank you. Now, why not 100? I have a dog, and it's got its own schedule, but pretty good for a dog that bounces around, still getting a 95.
It's still a solid A range.
Thank you, teacher. Come now during the Columbus Day sale or Indigenous People sale, however you play it, and save $400 on the C4 mattress. It's the lowest price ever. You'll only find Sleep Number at any of the 500 Sleep Number stores nationwide. Find one near you by going to sleepnumber.com, and be sure to tell them that Keith and the girls sent you. It's you know what? No joke. It's a fun experience. It's a fun experience.
I would love to have a sleep number bed,
I'm
honestly.
going to get one just so I can beat your score.
It does turn into a challenge.
98%.
Mm-hmm.
Take that.
All right, here's another thing that I enjoyed from Mychal. The politics of the first 6 episodes were annoying regarding Luke Cage, but this shit got real interesting around episode 7.
Oh, but I'm only on episode 2.
Yeah,
You're going to spoil things for me.
I only got to 2 also, and I quit. And right away, I'm excited because I feel I have 11 free hours. And this Mychal, helps show that I'm right. Because anybody that tells me, no, you just have to waste 6 hours of your life, and then it gets good.
No, I mean, I felt like I don't know. I was annoyed by it quite a bit. I felt like I needed to finish it just because I didn't want to be left out of all the cultural conversation happening around Luke Cage. But I guess I also was hate watching it for quite some time.
Right.
Like I was so disturbed by like how conservative Luke Cage was as a character, and his the potential for a bulletproof black man, like as a superhero,
Right.
like, and he's gonna go just like round up the local gangsters and drug dealers or whatever. Like, I mean, how is he not running into police departments and just
Right.
like beating all these people up for all the atrocities? Like that seems like for the time that we're in, feels like that's what a black superhero that's bulletproof would be doing.
And they enjoy, no joke, they enjoy putting him in a hoodie. So they're definitely trying
Yeah.
to match things that we know now.
Exactly, and so I guess that and it's fine. Like I understand, like everything's not going to match my politics, right? And Batman doesn't match my politics.
Right.
Batman's a straight up fascist. So it's like it's not that I'm opposed to this, but it was annoying that in the marketing up to like leading up to the premiere of Luke Cage, it was all like, this is the first superhero for the Black Lives Matter movement and stuff, and it's like, no, he's not. He doesn't reflect the politics at all. But it did shift in episode 7, which was very curious to me that what happened.
Okay. But yeah,
Don't get any more specific than that. I'm only on episode 2.
But I only saw 2 episodes like you, and I think one episode, there was the classic punch to the face and the guy's fist breaks.
Yeah.
And I believe the second episode, he takes some bullets and the police can't figure out what happened, even though there's holes in his shirt and you just see his skin. But I'm going to need more punching.
Yeah.
You can get political. I'm not asking for roots, but, have fun with it.
But and here's the thing that it was frustrating to continue watching, and everyone know who Luke Cage is now, and everyone know what his powers are, and everyone keeps shooting at him.
Right.
Like, stop wasting your bullets. You know that they're not going to do anything.
But is it funny? You're halfway through the show, and Daredevil hasn't helped him out yet.
Yeah.
Jessica Jones.
Nor has Jessica Jones.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. You have the. I know how you'll feel like less of a man if I join in. Jessica Jones. We're great together, but you take. It's these Avenger movies. Once you see the Avenger, how do you see that Thor won't help anybody out?
Like, I know you're struggling with this, but I'm just like gonna hang out.
Call Captain America if you want, but we only if we team up all the time, it's not special.
Yeah, I mean, the superheroes got to take some time off. Maybe they're in Florida or something.
I saw the first episode of Westworld.
I've not watched
This
that.
has the potential of being the best show ever made in the history of all time.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm including the aforementioned Sopranos.
Wow.
I don't know anything about Westworld. I've heard people talking about it, and I literally don't know what it is.
It's so good. They tell you this right away. It's a theme park where you go to you go in you're a human, obviously. You go in, assuming you're a human, and these robot guests are in the Wild West, and you interact with them.
Okay.
And if you want to shoot them, you can. They can't shoot you. And so you're living this dangerous life, but you're not really in danger. It's computers, ones and zeros fuck up. And that's where it's going. I didn't know it was based on an old movie that got 86% on Rotten Tomatoes, 1973 movie.
No.
Michael Crichton wrote it. But I'll wait to see the series since I started and then see the movie. It is so good. Now, maybe I'll be back. Oh, I saw episode 2. Fuck. But it is so good. That's where you put your money on, people. I'm telling you.
I think this is because we have all ingrained fear of like the animatronic robots from Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah.
What you're describing to me sounds like the nightmare of the animatronic robots from the Chuck E. Cheese band. So frightening that you're afraid they're going to get off the stage and come kill you. And it sounds like this is really harnessing that fear.
In 1973, there was no way. But now, you see that giant rat. There's a chance. And then they tried to do a sequel to Westworld called Future World back in the day. 33% of Rotten Tomatoes. So, yeah, that went down fast. But fingers crossed for this show. We'll see. Movie reviews. I saw the movie Masterminds. Loved it. Got a 34%. I enjoyed it immensely. These people.
Do you check every movie's Rotten Tomatoes?
Yes, I do. Just to see, did they get it right this time? It's only an hour, 30 minutes. All movies should be that.
Yeah, agreed.
Yes.
PG-13 scares me because life has cursing. But it was still good. How it's based on a true story, supposedly, I don't know.
What's it about?
These are some goofy fucking people. It's about morons trying to rob an armored truck.
Uh-huh.
But It has all your
that's got Leslie Jones in it and Jason Sudeikis,
Zach Galifianakis, everyone you like.
Okay.
Yeah, I enjoyed it very much. It's one of these movies where it's weird that it's everybody's laughing their balls off in the theater. The movie ends, and not even before credits start, they start showing pictures of the real people. What did the real Zach look like? And people start getting up and leaving. I get the point. No nonfiction today. Like, this doesn't interest you. And it happens during real movies, too. I watched Deepwater Horizon, and everybody's watching. Everybody's impressed. A couple people start clapping like the plane's landing. And then they go, then there's video of the real people. And they just get up like, we got it. If Kurt Russell can't explain it.
I really love hearing you talk about this because I like to picture you in the movie theater, just like watching everyone leave and being like, "Come on," like just being like a kind of outraged, angry man in the theater.
I'm not saying, oh, I looked it up. There's stuff after the credits. It's you're watching it as you're leaving. What I think it is one. Maybe it's just one person leaving, and the other people don't want to seem like they're so lame they can't. Like, I'm cool. I can leave when I want to.
I got places to be.
Right. Hey, guys, where we going? Applebee's? Fantastic. Storks, A+. I've been loving these cartoons lately, I'll tell you. 61%. Jason Sudeikis in it again, I think.
He's a busy man.
Maybe he's not. Who knows? He's in everything. I could be wrong. The Girl on the Train.
Ooh, I read that book.
Yeah? Mm-hmm. Boo.
I saw a movie poster in the subway that just has like the blank did it. I won't say who, but somebody just spoiled it and wrote it right on the subway sign. I thought that was pretty nice.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, I was like, I almost took a picture of it and posted it, but I was like, I shouldn't ruin it for more people. But
I found it like it was. Sometimes you see a movie and I feel like they try to make it convoluted, and the story's not that deep. And I don't know if they went back and forth in time during the book, but in the movie they're like, this 4 months ago, and you're watching a scene. Today, 3 weeks ago, 7 days prior, 2:16 tomorrow. Just tell me your fucking story. You know, anything. I said this before. Anything suspenseful if you put it out of order. I remember that shit movie, 26 Grams. It's some simple story, but they just rearranged it. Happy Gilmore would be suspenseful if they took it out of. Oh, he's into hockey, but wasn't good enough. That's why he's an asshole on the golf. Oh. That makes so much sense. Okay. And then 2 hours, like we just talked about. Yawners.
have you seen it, though? The Girl on the Train?
Yeah, I hated it.
You hated it.
But I got to be honest. I'm a little sexist, and I enjoyed The Boy on the Train. Back when we didn't have to make everything just so. We saw a Girl on the Train, me and my wife, and the movie didn't work. And before we knew that it wasn't going to work, they start playing a trailer of Girl on the Train. And people are like, we should have went to this one. You know, we're all immediately friends. It's like, and then it breaks down. Then they play all the trailers again. Danny has cancer, if you're curious. Then he was looking at this Kickstarter thing we have for Agenda. He's getting excited.
Doing a spit take over
Me too. So anyway, yeah. So, but people get so angry, like they're not going to fix this problem, and it really ruins. You know what I mean? Like, what's going on? Come on! And then somebody walks in, excuse me, you better have good news! Somebody goes, how long are we going to be here? Because what, your kid's going to die? I got to time it right. How long? Just 4 hours. I'm fucking with you. How long am I going to be here?
Yeah, relax. Just sit back and relax.
So somebody says, they'll give you free passes. Chill out. And so and of course they will. But then the theater person says, yeah, I will. And so then I just started shouting out things they'll do for you. I'm like, they will watch your kids all night. You just say it. They have to do it. I'd go to the bathroom, come back. What'd I miss? Oh, it was a hoot. It was a hoot. Let me ask you this. What do we do, Michael, with this new movie, The Birth of a Nation? And Nate Parker, rape allegations that looks like he did it. He said this quote, 17 years ago, I experienced a very painful moment in my life. Now, again, if you don't know the story, he's the rapee, or rapist, right? Now, don't want to confuse the whole situation. It resulted in it being litigated. I was cleared of it. That's that. 17 years later, I'm a filmmaker. I have a family. I have 5 beautiful daughters. I have a lovely wife. I get it. The reality is I can't relive 17 years ago. All I can do is be the best man I can be now. What a weird answer. If you told me I raped you or there were rape allegations, I mean, the girl killed herself because of this. But if you, I don't think. Look, it's a long time ago. I went through a lot.
Yeah.
Very sad for me.
Yeah.
But all I can tell you is now I'm married and I have a lovely family. And can we move on to other projects?
Yeah, it was an awful answer. He did a better interview with Ebony, but it seemed like maybe he was starting to understand what people's frustrations and concerns were. He was deploying all of the right language in that moment. But then the press tour for the movie started up, and he's like, "I'm not apologizing," and all, and it just. I don't know. I didn't have any interest in the movie even before all of this had surfaced because of Nate Parker's like some previous statements that I heard Nate Parker make around basically the way in which Hollywood treats black men and trying to emasculate them and put them in dresses and stuff, and like not make it so that they're not portraying real men, and like a lot of homophobic and transphobic kind of comments that he was making.
But also, rape takes it one step further.
And then this happens.
And keep in mind, his partner in the movie, right? His rating partner. He directed. He's the star of the movie, producer. His partner in the movie did go to jail for this rape.
Yeah.
That the three of them supposedly did together. They let Nate go because he's saying I had consensual sex with her before, but during this three-way, it was consensual. How do you find one man guilty, the other man not?
Yeah, it's not how consent works. You can't obtain consent earlier and then say now I have consent forever.
And the thing is, like,
and they did give him some punishment. So why would you punish me? Why would you kick me out of your school if I didn't do it?
And Nate Parker wants us to trust completely in the justice system that he knows and is trying to speak to the fact is unjust, right? Mm-hmm. Like, so how, like, why are we supposed to trust it now in your special case? And then I knew early on, and still haven't seen the movie, and probably won't. But he does deploy the rape as a device, as something within the movie, as sort of the catalyst for Nat Turner to go on this rampage and set off this rebellion, which again using rape sort of as using the rape of black women as a means of talking about the experience of oppression for black men, as if the worst thing that happened was like what it did to him inside. And it's like, I can't protect black women, and like this is dehumanizing me and devaluing my manhood. Like, that's sort of the politics of what this film is about. It's about the rise of a charismatic black male savior in an instance of oppression, as opposed to being honest about the experience of violence and oppression for black women. So I didn't have any interest in seeing it on the basis of that. But then you have someone who is unrepentant and does not want to acknowledge anyone's concerns around his past. And I guess trying to be as sympathetic as possible, I can understand his frustration that this is so long ago, right? Like, that he has put it behind him.
Oh, good for him.
He has worked past it. But now we're asking you to deal with it, and all that's really being asked of you is the acknowledgement of the wrongdoing, right? Like, the acknowledgement that you hurt someone, and to say that I understand and I'm moving forward, not just to put it behind me, but to do the work that's involved with teaching and understanding for myself just what that privilege looks like, and what that violence looks like, and what that learning looks like within me. And that's all he really has to do. I mean, like, last year when Straight Outta Compton was coming out, like, people started dredging up Dr. Dre's past. And it didn't take much. All he did was issue an apology for his behavior and the effect that it had on this woman. He didn't even directly apologize to her, but at the very least, he acknowledged the wrongdoing and then it was done. Right. That's all anyone's asking of Nate Parker now. No one's asking him to go to jail.
Do you think is it weird that on the set they probably have some kind of psychological a counselor that that is going over these scenes, and she's hired to say what somebody would be going through during a rape. And maybe she's like, that guy wouldn't act that way. And Nate's like, I can't tell you how I know, but trust me, that's exactly how he would act. That's all I can tell you.
The whole thing, like the idea that you know this about Nate Parker and then you want to go watch a movie that uses like rape as a narrative device is like really, really. I'm just not I don't want to do that. Like,
it's weird that you have to put it in there too. You know, we know how we feel about Woody Allen, but you can't stop making movies where the guy's 60 and the woman's 16. You can't help yourself.
Yeah.
Is he laughing at us?
Yes, he is.
Yeah, laughing all the way to the bank.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got to be, right?
Yeah, you have to be.
Yeah, he's just like, I will do this forever.
Yeah.
He's throwing it in our faces. He's like, you can't stop me. There's nothing you can do about it.
Or is it a trick like, why would I keep saying it if I did it? That'd be dumb. So we see this movie or we do not?
Everyone has to make their own decision about
I can't.
that.
I can't. I mean, I got to talk to a New York Times bestseller that writes about black culture.
Yeah, I'm not going to give it. I'm not going to go see it.
All right, then me neither.
Yeah.
Sold. I won't go.
But again, if I can hear his interview in Ivory magazine, we get to the bottom of it. The book is called Invisible Man, Got the Whole World Watching, A Young Black Man's Education. And like I said, it's a New York Times bestseller, and you're saying it's not good enough for you? Okay. Really. New York Times Book Review Editor's Choice. Okay? So pick it up.
Pick it up.
That's it.
Pick it up wherever books are sold.
Thank you. The Twitter account that I've been reading, Mychal Smith, Mychal Smith. This is Mychal Denzel Smith, Denzel Washington, perhaps one of our greatest actors of all time. Yeah. Do you get bummed out when he does a movie that's not good? It's like a reflection.
I just feel like at this point I'm like setting the standard for Denzel to meet. So that's
okay.
Yeah, the power dynamics have gradually shifted.
Ha ha! You're setting the standard.
Yeah. Then he's gonna like get another Oscar next year or something.
Right. Molly, thank you very much. Molly Knefel's Twitter account, of course, is Molly Knefel, Knefel, and we're going to be talking to her all week. Fantastic as always.
I love co-hosting with you, Keith. I'm having a great time.
Aces.